Welcome to the testing world. In this session, I'll show you how we can make a post request using JMeter. In this course, we are covering how we can do API testing using JMeter. We can do functional testing of the API, of REST API, as well as performance testing. So I'll start with the simple functional test case. Later on, we can convert this test case from functional to performance test case. And as we know, we have common methods like get, post, put, delete. I'll start with post request. Okay, so that would be coverage in this video. First of all, we are going to create a test plan in the JMeter. Then we'll create a thread group. I will add a sampler. There we are going to make post request. Post means we are adding new resource to the application. And then we need to add some headers. So that I'll show you. Okay, let's move to JMeter. So here I have started JMeter, and as we know, first step we need to create a test plan. We already have the test plan. If you want, you can change the name. So I would say API testing. Okay. Now inside this test plan, I'm going to create a thread group. So just right click on the test plan, threads, thread group. Okay, what is the name you want to give? So I would say post API testing. You can give any name to this thread group as well. Okay, now here we are on the thread group. Inside the thread group, I want to add a sampler. Here we want to test a REST API and our method would be post. Okay, so first of all, I will show you my sample API which I'm going to test in this session. So let's move to, that's our page. You can go here by following this URL, thetestingworldapi.com/help. So that is the page where you will get all the API, all our APIs, and these are the sample APIs for practice purpose. So there we have a section with the name student details. In that we have an API that is a post API. By using, we can add a new student to our application. So I'll just click on this. Okay, I'm on the next page. As we know, while doing API testing, I'm just coming to the notepad. While doing API testing, first of all, we need endpoint. So here in our case, endpoint would be, that is my base URL. So I'll just copy and paste it. And that is our relative URL. So copy and paste it. So that is my complete endpoint for this post request. Okay. If you check it here, it says in the request you need to send body in this format. So I'll just copy this and just paste it over here. So for making a post request, I need an endpoint that we have. We need a sample request in the JSON format that we already have. Okay, let's move to JMeter. So here in the JMeter, we already created a thread group, which is similar to the test case. So I'll go to the thread group, right click, add sampler. So whenever you want to make any request, any REST API request, we will have to go here on the add sampler HTTP request. So ultimately these REST API can be hit by using this HTTP request sampler. Okay, I'm here, I'm just making a post request. So I'll say add new student. You can give any name here. Okay, now which method you want to use? So in our case, we want to use post method. Now we need to give server name or IP here. So that is our base URL. So as we have, this is the base URL. I'll just copy and paste it over here. And here we need not to give HTTP. I'll just give www.thetestingworldapi.com. Okay, that's my URL. I would say base URL. Okay, now path means relative URL. So in our case, that is the relative URL. Just copy and paste it. So now we set endpoint in this sampler. We need to give base URL, relative URL, and need to define the method kind of method you are going to use. But as we know, in case of the post request, we need to send body, and you can check it here. It clearly shows in case of the post, you need to send request in this format. Okay, we already have this format, so I'll just go to the body, and that is our sample body. So I'll just copy it and paste it over here. Okay, now our sample body is ready. I want to update my test data. So if I say for first name I want to send testing, for middle name I want to send M, for last name I want to send word, and here in DOB means date of birth, I'm sending this data. Okay, we entered sample test data over here. In my API, this ID is not mandatory. So I'm just removing it. This ID will be generated by the application while registering any student. So if you want to keep it, you can keep it. If you want to remove, you can. It's not a mandatory data. Okay. Now our request is ready. I'm just going to add a listener. So I'm just coming here, and that is view result tree. So here in this view result tree, we can check what is the request we are sending and what response we are getting. Okay, I'll just edit that. Everything is done. Let's try to execute. So before executing, I'm just saving it with the name API testing. Okay, I have saved this test plan. Now I want to execute. Here it will fail. I'll show you why. As I execute, in the view result tree listener, you can check that's a request. If you check it here, it's a request and response. In request, we are sending this data. Headers are this. And in the same way, you can go to the response, and you can check in the response, it shows request entity media type text plain is not supported. What does it mean? It means as of now we are sending data in the form of JSON, but we did not define that in our request. How we can check it? Just go here and check the request. In request, if you can see, content type is going text plain, which is by default. But I want to send JSON, but here we are sending JSON, and this content type is not supported in my application. But by default in header it is going text and plain, but in my application JSON format is supported. So how we can handle this situation? As of now, if you can see, we are not sending any header. These headers are going by default, but I want to change this header. Means I want to send this content type manually and want to send JSON for that. JSON here. So just go to your sampler, right click, add, and just go to the config element, and here we have HTTP header manager. Means in this request I want to send a header. Okay, what is the header you want to send? So I just click on add. What is the name? I would say content type. What is the value you want to send? So value would be, if you just come here in the application, the value of JSON format would be this. So I'll just copy this. Copy from my API page and just paste it over here. So now it's application/JSON. Let's clear the previous result and try to execute it again. As we execute, this time we get this step. If you check it, that is my request, body of the request, and header. Now you can check it in the header, it is going application/JSON. And if you check response, yes, a new student is added, and we can check it data. Means a new student is added with these details, and the ID of the student is this. And you can check header. So that is the header which we are getting from the server. As of now, we need not to worry about it. So here we have seen how we can make a simple post request. And as of now, if you notice, we are not putting a performance load over here. We are just creating a post request. Later on, I'll show you how we can execute this with multiple users, or I would say how we can convert this for a performance test plan. But it was a simple post request. After taking this session, I'm sure you are able to make a simple post request. Here we are using header. As of now, we are sending only one header, but you can send any number of headers. So if I say you want to send one more header, you simply go here, add, and you can set another header. So we can add any number of headers in this request. Let me just move to the JMeter. So that was the plan we have created previously. Okay, I'm going to execute it one more time. Here you will notice we are sending a request and that's our response. Okay, as of now we are getting this response and that's the body of the response. It's a header of the response. But previously we did not make any validations. Validations means we are getting correct response or not. So either we can validate status code, means whenever we are making a post request, we are expecting 201 status code. So you can validate that part, or you can validate any content of the body of the response. So here in this session, I'll show you how you can make basic validations. We call it assertions. So here we can understand assertion means validations, or I can say with the help of the assertions we can compare actual result with expected result. So as of now I'm going to show you two type of assertion. One is we are going to validate status code and other one is content, means we are going to validate content of the response. So first of all, I'll move to the status code. Okay, let's move to JMeter. Here on the JMeter, that is the request I'm making. So I want to make assertion on this request. So I simply go right click on this, add assertion. Okay, what kind of assertion you want to make? First of all, I want to validate status code. For that, there is an assertion with the name response assertion. Just add that. Okay, now in that response assertion, it says what do you want to validate. So I'm just giving the name status code I'm going to validate, and it should be 201. So I'll just give the name status code 201. So that is the first change I have done. Now what you want to validate? So we have many options here. I'm saying I want to validate response code, or I can say status code. Okay, what is the expected status code? Okay, so here I want to validate response code, but what is your expected value? For that, I just simply click on this add. Whatever the expected value, you can simply write it over here. So I'll just write 201. Okay, now I'll go to the view result tree, clear previous result, and execute. As I execute, you will notice it is passed, means assertion is also passed. Okay, let's try to check it again. I'll simply go here on the assertion, and on the place of 201, I'm expecting it should be 200. Okay, now again go to the view result tree, clear, and execute. This time, if you notice, my test step, or I would say my post request, is getting failed. If you just expand it, it shows 201 status code is failed. You are expecting 200, but it is something else, because we know in response we are getting 201. So means whatever the status code you want to validate, you can simply write it over here. So that is the first and most common validation which we are going to write, or I would say which we are going to add while making post or other type of request. So as of now we are making post. Later on I'll show you how we can make get request. then put request, then delete request. But in every request, you will place this status code assertion, which is first basic type of assertion for API testing, or I would say in REST API testing. So that is the first assertion we have seen. Okay, let's move to one more assertion. I want to validate content of the response. So let's take an example. Here in the response, we are getting, this is my response body. Okay, I'll just copy this, moving to browser, and simply I'm using format JSON. So it's a JSON formatter I'm using. Okay, just put the JSON which we are getting in the response process. So it shows the formatted JSON, but it's not mandatory. I'm just doing it because it is easy to understand. Now, previously we have seen how we can find out JSON path. So I'll just go to another website which is JSON path finder. I'll simply go jasonpath.com. Okay, here I'll put my JSON which I'm getting in the response. We already covered how to fetch JSON path. I want to fetch this last name. So here it's a very simple JSON. I'll just write like this is my JSON path, means only the key we can pass and it will fetch value of it. And it could be any JSON path. Previously in previous videos we have seen how we can find JSON path. Okay, I'll just copy this, moving to JMeter again. I want to make one more assertion with the name, so I'm just going to the add, right click on the sampler, add assertion, and other one is JSON assertion. Okay, if you come here, I'm saying I want to validate last name. That's my second assertion. Okay, what is your JSON path? I think my JSON path is this. I'll just copy and paste it over here. So first assertion, it will automatically apply to check this particular path. It could be anything. You can give any JSON path that exists or not. Also, you want to validate its value. So I'll just simply click on this check and the value should be word. So here it automatically check this JSON path should exist and value should be this. Okay, so now we added one more assertion which is a JSON path, like we are validating data in the response by using JSON path. Okay, simply go here, clear, and run it again. It is getting passed, means both of these assertions are getting passed. Again, let's go to this assertion where we are validating the JSON path, and I just give invalid JSON path. I'll just added some extra characters over here. Clear, run. It is failing. If you check it, it says this is failing. No path exists for this. Okay, what you can do, JSON path is correct, but my value is different. I'm expecting it should be hello. Again, I'm trying to execute. Failed. Why? Because you are expecting hello, but it is word. So here we have seen how we can apply assertions on a post request. And as of now, I have made 2 assertions. You can make any number of assertions as per your requirement. So here in this session, we have seen how we can add assertions on the response that we are getting in the post request. That's all we have for this session. Thanks for watching this video.